I'm going to do a strawberry painting. I'm going to use a mixture of the watercolours and the thicker paints. I'm not going to do a pencil outline first. I'm just going to use a very watery bit of paint to get the outline on the main shape. Doesn't have to be perfect. Strawberries come in all different shapes and sizes. We're just using the picture as a guide. And I'm now going to fill that in. So instead of just thinking of it as an outline, I want to think of this as a form, as a 3D shape. Okay, so I've got my main section in there. Now obviously here we've got the small leaves and the stalk. So just clean that brush off and just use a little bit of the watercolour green. And again, this is just as a guide so I can kind of remember where the leaves go so I don't go over those. Okay, so you've just got your basics. I'm going to build this up in layers a little bit. So now I've got my main form. I'm going to add a little bit of tone. So I've used a little bit of the thicker red this time, and I'm going to add a little bit of blue. It's really tempting to add black when you want to create a bit of tone and shadow, but usually black is a little bit harsh. Now that might not be enough. There's a little bit of tone there, but it's not dark enough. So let's mix up a slightly thicker paint. Hopefully this time you should see the darker tone. And go between the leaves this time. So again, I'm just focusing around the outside edges to get those darker sections in. I'm just adding a little bit of the thick red over the top of this now so we can get more of a solid look to the strawberry. And blend it in. Okay. I'm just going to add a little bit of a highlight because here where the strawberries are slightly wet and reflective, I just want to add some of those small sections in at this stage. Now I'm going to have to make a slightly darker shadow because actually underneath these leaves it really does go quite dark. So this is where I am going to use a little bit of black. But also the blue as well. Okay. I'm just going to place this in right at the very top, in between where the leaves are. Maybe just a little bit down here. Now I'm going to blend that in because at the moment it's quite blocky. So I'm just washing the brush, so a clean damp brush, and I'll just sweep around those edges and try and blend it in. So this is quite a long painting because we're trying to build up with different layers. But because there's lots of detail on a strawberry, they're quite complicated little objects. It just takes a little while. So on the surface of the strawberry, we've got all these little indentations. So we're going to add those in now. So again, mix up that kind of dark, reddy, purpley, maroony colour. And I'm just going to use the very end of my brush and I'm going to just dot in on here where those dimples are. Now you don't see them all over the strawberry, we tend to just notice them quite centrally. So that's where I'm starting to put those marks now. Maybe a few over here as well. You can hopefully see small parts of the yellow pip, so I'm just going to add in some small yellow pips. So I'm having to use a thicker paint here just so it stands out and put in a way like a tiny little blob so you can see it over the top of the red. So sometimes you have to put a couple of layers of these in just so they show up. Now I've not got the highlights on this section that I would want, so this is where I might mix just a slightly lighter, not pink, but just that lighter red. And I'm just going to work that in over the top. If it doesn't show up, I can just add a little bit more white and work it around the pips. Also, I think these bits have gone a little bit too dark, so I'm just going to work some red over there as well. Okay, I'm going to start to add some of the green in for the stalk. So this is where I might just mix a green using my yellow and blue. Get quite a nice limey green and just literally just make these look a bit more solid first. I can add a little bit more blue for a shadow, just to get a bit of tone in there. And then just for a bit of a highlight, maybe add a bit more white to that yellow. And just at the top, try and get that in. Okay, right, we're getting there, but there's still a few more things. So this is where you can sometimes look at a painting and make some adjustments. We could add some more highlights in along the top here, just so some areas stand out a little bit more, where there would be a slight reflection. And we can also add some darker shadow, use a little bit of black this time, with the green, just to go around the bottom of the stalk, just to make some areas stand out a little bit more. Okay. We've got a little strawberry.